What's going on YouTube? Josh here checking in. So one of the most common technical errors in the squat is basically when your squat turns into a good morning. That is to say, your hips shoot up prior to your torso. So there's several ways that you can go about dealing with this, and the first tip I have is something that you can implement immediately. That is the cue to drive your back into the bar. So some coaches will tell their athletes to bring their chest up, but quite frankly for many athletes that cue simply doesn't click. So driving your back into the bar is a much more effective cue from my experience. When you're in the hole of the squat and you're about to ascend, you want to think about literally driving your back into the bar. So imagine you're pushing almost in the direction of the back corner behind you. Okay? For a lot of people, this cue will help them keep their chest up and prevent their hips from shooting too far forward because they're able to keep their torso angle basically the same that they were descending with on the ascent, right? So that would be like what an ideal squat looks like. Basically, the way up is a reversal of the way down. So that's the first thing you can do. In addition to that, there's one accessory movement that I find extremely helpful in this situation, and that's the front squat. So the front squat is very useful for many reasons. Firstly, it's simply the fact that there's no way to front squat properly if you inadvertently, rise your hips prior to rising your torso. Because if your butt shoots up early when you're front squatting, you're going to end up losing the weight since the weight is already in front of you. So it forces you to work on keeping your torso upright and coming out of the hole with basically a balance of your front part of your leg, your quads, with your back part, the posterior chain. So that brings me to the next kind of sub point, and that is, for some people who have this issue, it can be related to a muscular imbalance where their quads are relatively weak compared to their posterior chain. So the front squat is particularly useful in this case because the front squat, as compared to the back squat, targets the quads to a greater degree, right? So if you are one of those people who happen to have a muscular imbalance, then this could potentially be very useful. So those are the first two, and those two I think are by far the most beneficial. There will be a small subset of the population who find this last tip useful, and that is basically if you squat looking down. Some people who squat looking down might have a tendency to good morning squat. And one quick recommendation to try out would be to try looking more neutral or slightly up. This isn't to say that there's necessarily one best position for you to look while you're squatting. But, if you have this issue and you look down while you squat, you might want to try more neutral or looking up. So that's basically all the tips, guys. Drive your back into the bar, incorporate front squats, and if you squat looking down, you might want to try looking more neutral or slightly up. So if you guys found these tips useful, please be sure to give it a like. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you're not a subscriber already, please, come on guys, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.